friend told me that, hey, Phoebe, you should share your voice. So I'm like, okay, so how should I share my voice? Should I write a book or what should I do? And then I realized that I have everything that I need because I've written so much over the past couple of years, over the past year, and it's all about putting it together, and that is where this book was birthed. So this is the book that I self-published. It is called When Fear Fades Away, and it is a collation of my poetry and prose over the past 1 year, not past 1 year, over that 1 year of my healing journey. So I'm going to be reading some of the pieces to you guys. And as you can see, I have so many post-its because I couldn't decide on which one I should share, but I've narrowed down into a few, and I hope you will resonate with them. So, one thing that I recognized over that journey was that there was very significant stages that I went through. For example, I had to start with breaking free. This period of time when I was feeling so miserable, like feeling like I had to do something, I had to change something in my life. And that period of time was really painful because I was in the familiar and knowing that I needed to get out of it, but not seeing it yet. So it required a lot of shedding and a lot of courageous decisions that needed to be made. And these are some of the things that I wrote in that first stage of breaking free. So this piece is titled A People Pleaser. I was brought up conditioned to be people-pleasing. For a long time, I felt responsible for how others felt and reacted to me being me. So I shrunk myself to fit into the box of what was expected of me, downplayed my feelings, and prioritized the peace. Mask your truth in your gentleness and be conflict averse, they whispered with ease. I made myself perfect to what society deemed. Conforming was pretty easy. Just follow the lines and walk straight in the path ahead. The road to success is on the way. But bit by bit, I was eating myself up on the inside. Who was I? What was I striving for? Am I a zombie or am I more? Looking good on the outside, a perfect formula for success. Yet, what is the point really? There's got to be something deeper. Something within urged me to discover. So I said, screw it, officially. I am now on the path of unconditioning. All the things that I have learned, especially to be people-pleasing. But now, I see people-pleasing as a blessing. Because without learning it, I would not have the opportunity to unlearn it, understanding my boundaries and growing in spirituality. I know now that I'm not responsible for how others feel when I speak my truth. My responsibility is to be more of me, to take my space and to shine authentically, grounding my feet so firmly to the ground, like the tree with its roots deep and around, saying my gratitude for every step of the journey, every expansion, every clearing, every up and every down. Each foot forward manifested into this very moment. Everything is happening in divine momentum. So this piece was the longest piece that I first wrote, and I wrote it at home. So I'm from Singapore and currently working in Malaysia. So I wrote it at home, where it was a place where, in a period of time where I felt really stuck in my life. And it was like, when I was writing it, I felt this power, of like, that label of being a people pleaser, but now not rejecting it, but embracing it and seeing it for who I am. So yes, this was the first piece. And the second piece, I was like, I have to share this. So it's called Too Much. For those who have been told they were too much at any point in their lives, too sensitive, too soft, too kind, too giving, too loud, too serious, too emotional. People fear extremes, so they resort to keeping you average, to make themselves feel better about their place. They point you out so they can avoid looking within and seeing themselves as average. But you are not average. So please, stop trying to be. You have always been made for greatness, and you know it too, deep within. When you come from a place of love, you will never be too much. You can never be too kind, too sensitive, too intense, too vocal, too generous, too knowledgeable. Because love sees no boundaries. There is no too much in its vocabulary. One day, you will find yourself surrounded by all these people who have been called too much in their lives. And then it hits you beautifully that it was not you who were too much. It was them who were too little. So I'm going to move on to a little bit about the next stage, which is about releasing and healing. Because after the period of breaking free, and stepping into this period of a transitioning, where I'm starting to step outside of my old self and discovering, hey, what is it that it's new? What is my new self? There's this period of letting go of the decisions that I made when I was in my old self, so that I can let it go and step into decisions that is aligned fully with me. So it required me to let go. And one of the things that I had to let go was my previous relationship, which was 5 years. A 5 years relationship where I thought that I would marry this man, like get a house with him, and it was something that I had to let go because it was no longer aligned with my path moving forward. So after we broke up, something within me felt like this piece just came out. When I read this piece to others, they will understand why I have to break up. So this piece is called Safe Harbor. You are my safe harbor, steady and consistent, one whom I can always come home to. Your cheeky smile and kind eyes, a warm embrace to hold me tight. Years flow by. My journey ventures further and further. I sail across the seas, navigating oceans so deep. You were my safe harbor. I know I could go back home to you. But now, there is no turning back. The vast oceans have changed me. I am no longer the same me. I cannot go back to my safe harbor. I need someone who can travel the depths of the oceans with me. Okay, so along the lines as well with the releasing and healing chapter, I realized that whenever people ask, how are you? What do we reply? The standard reply is, I'm good, right? Like people ask, how are you? And it's like, I'm good. So I reflected upon it, and I wrote this piece called I Am Good. When people ask me how I am, I find myself saying, I'm good, most of the time. Not that it is not the truth, but it feels like a sin to admit that I am not. how can I be anything but not all right? How can there be anything that is not solvable by perspectives and insights? I realize I feel alone most of the time. And I guess I've gotten used to it too. Resigned that maybe there will never be people who will truly know my heart, and that I will be the one who will ever truly know me. I know feeling alone doesn't mean that I'm lonely. But some days I wonder what it is like to have someone with me. Someone who sits in silence together, listens to the gaps between my pauses, sees me for all that I am without judgments. But is it possible after all that I have seen and experienced? I don't know how I am feeling today, and that's okay. Just honoring my emotions and letting them flow through today and every day. So that's the second piece. Okay. So then, so in this journey, I went to different places, kind of like just going with the flow of life and going to places where I felt called to. So I went to places like Cambodia, like Vietnam, and then India, and then back to Singapore, and like things like that. And I was going through like certain, because after I broke up with my ex, I was starting to date, and then I realized that there were certain patterns that I was observing, like similar situations happening, similar patterns with different people. Sometimes you realize it in like in your life. So I wrote this piece called "Hopeless Romantic." So this is this is the piece. I am secretly a hopeless romantic. I believe in love at first sight. Two meant-to-be will find their way, knowing instinctively when I find the one. With our essence and frequency so similar, we could talk about the depths of the universe for hours. One who truly sees me for me, who touches my heart before my skin, who kisses my forehead before my lips, who loves me for the depths of my soul before my body. I'm tired of people who loves not me, but the idea of having me, who craves not connection, but the touch of two skins, who drains the energy and the life out of me. I learned my lessons, no longer a fool. I now read true intentions, only see the depths of you. Through it all, despite everything, I'm still a hopeless romantic. What's new? Okay, so that's the next one. Okay, so time. So, okay. So looks like I really wanted to share this, but so this piece that I want to share next is called "Moving On." I wrote this piece when I was in Vietnam, sitting by the beach, looking at the oceans, and thinking about life, because it feels like everything, people and all, was just moving on. So, hey, where is it? Okay, number 4. Okay, so this piece is called "Moving On." I've been thinking about how we all just move on with life, that there are so many things that we are not able to control, like others' journey and decisions, their heart and their choices, and that some people come together just to one day be separated. Or in truth, all of us do, whether it be by death or situations proof. That we only really just have ourselves in life. We come alone, and naturally one day we will also go alone. Perhaps this journey of life is simply leading us back to ourselves, to realize the power has always been within us all along, that life was not meant to be taken so seriously, and that it is okay to let loose, make space to simply breathe. To realize that we have an entire universe of our inner world waiting for us to discover, that is not bounded by space or time, that is always patient and forgiving with love and compassion. I've also been thinking about how life can be so unforgiving, working through deep-rooted emotions of guilt and shame, fear and hate, and then realizing that it has been us all along, that we have always held both the key and its lock, that life has mostly been about the courage to unlock these cages that we've put ourselves into. And when the time comes, we will all just move on. Life really does just move on, whether we like it or not, whether we are ready for it or not. Okay. Now I feel so excited to share because I feel like when I was in the process of writing this book, in the process, whenever I write something, usually I write it in my journal, on my phone, I will share it immediately on my Instagram, because I went through this period of time where I write and I'll be afraid of people judging me. So I would post it and I delete it after 10 minutes. So I realized that the perspective shift for me was that if I just post it, and if just one person reads it and feels something, then it will be worth it. Because it's no longer about me when I share. When others read it, it becomes a part of their journey. So, the next piece that I'm going to share is called You Be You. And then you learn that your presence will trigger others. The peace you embody, the flow you are riding, directly challenges their striving. When you settle into what is meant to be will be, no longer rushing to be the first in the queue, nor feeling upset when plans are rescheduled, you realized that you have come a long way. Climbed the mountains and scaled terrains for this state to be here to stay. Others getting triggered by you simply means they have work to do. It's not about you. You be you. Okay. So, when I was in India, I took a one-way ticket to India, and I had no idea actually how long I would stay there. I just felt called to go. I ended up staying in India for 2.5 months, and when I was going back, when I was nearing the end of that trip, I took a flight to Mumbai before flying back to Singapore. And in that flight, there was a lot of turbulence. It was like, it's like, that moment where you felt like, oh, am I going to die or not, And this piece I felt like that flow to write this piece. So there's no title to it, but this is how it goes. If I were to leave the world tomorrow, what impact would I have made? What have I created with my bare hands and my willing heart to have made this world a better place? How many souls would I have touched to live an authentic life true to themselves? If I were to leave the world tomorrow, though moments here were too fleeting, I know I have lived every moment with full intensity. Though it will be nice to continue living and unfolding life's mysteries, I have no regrets and would leave joyfully. If I were still here tomorrow, I remember that life is precious. I will not live like I am never going to die. I choose to live with love and joy, giving thanks for every moment in this world. We come alone and go alone. in between these fleeting moments, remember, it could be tomorrow. It could be tomorrow. Okay. So, then so on to the chapters of my book, I organized it such that it was like the stages of my journey, starting off with breaking free, then releasing and healing, like letting go of the past things, and then it went into exploring and seeking, which is that period of time when I was exploring different things, going to different countries, finding out more about myself. And then it moved on to awakening to being, subsequently to transcending boundaries, and then now at homecoming within. Basically realizing that through it all, through this whole journey, it didn't really matter where I was at. Wherever I was at, it was just a reflection of me coming home to myself. And the circumstances externally was just a reflection that provided me the experience to mirror what I was experiencing within. And now this piece is in the chapter of Homecoming Within. And it is called I Am Not Perfect. I am not perfect, and I do not seek to be. In fact, I want to be as imperfect as I can be, while truly being me. I want to wear my heart on my sleeves and share my soul, even if it seems stupid. I want to laugh in situations where everyone seems to be frowning. I want to allow tears to stream down my face as easily as the gentle breeze of the wind. I want to touch the world as easily as the love of the world has touched me. Most of all, I want to walk through life wondering, how are the leaves of the tree so green? And how free it feels to be standing against the wind. Okay, so this was even though I had so many post-its, I was like, okay, I will share 10. So this is, I wrote this as the end. So this is the last one that I wanted to share with you guys. It is called We Are One. I wrote this when I was in Vietnam, again, staring into the ocean. Just standing there, and I was like, the inspiration is coming. So I wrote this while looking at the waves. I wonder, when the waves crash upon the shores, do the waves think to themselves, finally, I finally made it to the destination of success, where the ocean and the land meet. Yet no one told them that this destination was just a fleeting moment. What comes next is retreating back into the ocean. That's it. All that I was striving for and longing was just one moment of glory upon the shores, where humans who met me could not even appreciate the distance I traveled to be able to meet them at where they are at. And as they retreat back into the ocean, they realize it was never their efforts alone that led them there. They rode upon the shoulders of thousands, millions, and billions of ancestor waves that came before them, and the waves of all the generation that came right behind, pushing them forth. We may all look like unique waves, but we have always been one ocean. Thank you.